All right. Yo, what is up, people? This is Zero. And today I got a topic I don't think anybody's actually talking about. And and it's something I've actually kind of just noticed, like after looking at, how things like events and people, how things are coming together. And I don't think enough people are actually are actually thinking about this. Maybe somebody is, and maybe they just have a YouTube channel. They just talking about it with friends, whatever. I don't know, but what I've noticed that of course, it should. I mean, you would think it would be obvious people, and I don't think. I think some things just so obvious that people just don't even really think about it until somebody points it out. But you have like well, you have like extremism, but I mean, you have extremism, and you got unity. Like, and I noticed that even more so nowadays, it seems like there's like this pull trying to pull one person to one side or the other, but the which I mean, pull which like with unity, you really well, I guess even unity is could be extremism, but as far as like extremism itself, it just seems like more and more people are just like either they're trying to you know move forward and try to trying to forge a different path, forge a new path, or you have people who are stuck in the same system and they don't want to do anything. All they want to do is just follow whatever their system is, and you can't tell them nothing. Hey, 12, how you doing? And like one good example, and it was kind of funny because I mean like I was hanging with my family with on Thanksgiving yesterday, and and cool, and we came back. We headed back home and had like my stepdaddy, my mama, and my grandma. So we on the car, talking about it. I think they mentioned something about the Kyle Rittenhouse dude, whatever, and then they were talking about something, and I forgot what the subject about, even though it happened yesterday. I just I mean, they show like how much I really didn't even the conversation. I really didn't care about it, but but I said something. I mean, so he just said. I said they said something. Stayed there, my mom. They said something, and then I said like, well, I said, well, yes, I said, yeah, that happened. Joe Biden remembers, and I said, so that man was like, tell like the fake laugh and everything like that, and then and then they tried to argue with me about it, like, and then talking about, hey, did you vote? Did you vote? I was like, no, I ain't voting none of them. Oh, well, you ain't got no voice then. No? You can't complain. I'm like, I'm not complaining. I just don't like them. So it was so pretty much with that, and with that particular point, it's kind of like a silly idea, and this is like an example of the extremism I'm talking about. It's like especially with voting, like it's always of course you got this a two party system. They always trying to get you any two party Democrat Republican, and with voting, it's kind of like the same thing. Like it's like they always trying to force you to to vote, and they have this stupid saying. They're like, oh yeah, if you didn't vote, you can't complain about nothing. Can't complain about the presidents or whatever. And I'm because you didn't use your voice or whatever. I'm like, you don't have a voice even if you did vote. Matter of fact, for the I guess like for the last past well, I'm gonna say 4 years, but the year of Biden, whatever. Still that first year Biden is in office, and he was pretty much I mean pretty much he just got in there and of course thing with him, but the my point was I almost got lost. I almost forgot my thought. uh, but for the past 4 years, a lot of people claim that they were living under a tyrant, even though I don't know a president. I mean, well, president can't technically be a tyrant because a tyrant doesn't have power over power over everything, which a president doesn't. I mean, I don't think people know how the political system works, or how government works, or how voting works. But they're so informed though. Which, I mean, if anybody really knows how government works, knows that the president can't do anything without Congress. Even in emergency situations, still needs Congress to approve it. And that's one of the things with that with people saying it. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Like, saying you can't say nothing. That's like you're telling them you don't have your First Amendment right to speak up. How you gonna tell somebody they can't be allowed to freely express themselves because they didn't do a certain activity? So that's kind of like starting to get into like fascism and stuff like that happens. I hope there ain't no static or anything like that. But I'm gonna keep going. And I'm just like, how you gonna tell somebody? You gonna tell somebody not to have a first amendment right to have freedom of speech? I mean, people can blame about what they want to. It don't matter if they were participating or not. Like, people always have their opinion about everything on the internet anyway. Even had nothing to do with them. They still have opinion about everything. So I don't even get the whole point of that. And then like even when the election was happening, I was hearing this stupid saying by like the Democrat side. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Republican side ain't no better, but I was hearing this stupid saying that they were telling people like, if you if you don't vote for if you don't vote for Biden, you're voting for Trump. I'm like, no. If you're voting for if you're voting for Trump, you're voting for Trump. Like, like some people say, well, I'm gonna vote independent. Well, you're still voting for Trump. Like, no, that ain't how it works. And I mean, people just went along with it. And what that kind of is, because I remember like and I think I might have mentioned it in that month or maybe a month afterwards about this I mean the month like after Biden got elected, whatever. Or it might happen that Baltimore. I can't remember exactly when. It was somewhere around the time before. I think before or after he got in office. Well, a little after. But they had like like a mother and their son, mother and their children in the car, and the son. They were talking about like who you vote for. And he talking about, I'm voting independent. He said, no, you. He said, vote Biden, vote for, you know you're not voting Biden, you vote for Trump. Like, so I'm voting independent. And it's like pretty much like his mother was trying to make him vote Biden. I'm like, that's voter intimidation, right? I'm pretty sure that's illegal. If I, if I last checked, sorry, that some comment. I'm pretty sure last time I checked, I think that's voter intimidation because I didn't they when that like what a lot of people complained about when they have people going to the polls, like not being about voter intimidation. Well, it's always fun how the side complain about voter intimidation are using voter intimidation. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a right winger, I'm not a left winger either. I don't I don't vibe with none of the politicians. I don't vibe with none of the sides. So don't take it as me being on one side because I'm not. I really think the whole system need to be just reset. But but even with that, like of course we go into the pandemic, and you have people having their views on everything, and it's like it seems like there's like a seems like there's like being set up where they're trying to get people to just choose just two options. They don't want to allow any other type of option around because if they do, then it kind of stops what they're doing. It kind of keeps people from fighting. Like, oh, okay, we could think of different solutions. Like I was saying, like people, either want to go home or, have people, you know, stay from, they're like arguing about like whether or not people should. I don't know. It was a big argument on that about whether people should be, shouldn't go to work or not. But I mean, it probably was like when they started opening up everything. But I guess one of the big things was about like the mask thing, and people. I mean, like people complain about the mask. People support and get mad at people who are mad about the mask, and about the mask mandates. And I'm like, well, the thing about the mask mandates were the government didn't necessarily force them on everybody because they were saying like, well, gonna be a penalty, whatever. I ain't never seen nobody get no penalty. For not wearing a mask. You know, I mean, you might have people freak out. I mean, believe me, I had to happen to me once or twice. People just freaking out like they gonna die. If I didn't put on my mask, but it is what it is. But that example, right? The whole mask mandate. That was actually an example of you know unity because people were already wearing their masks. Even though it didn't really provide much protection or any, depending on which mask you wore. It just, I mean, people are already wearing them, so it didn't really take much for the government to actually just push it through because people were already doing it anyway. And then when the shot came out and they were told they had to keep the mask on, which that's what the scientists told them to do. But they thought once you get the shot, even though knew like how it was going to affect people, if it was going to work or not. Because with articles I read, scientists weren't sure that was going to work. But the whole thing about that is that when people were told they still had to wear a mask and they you know, still had to do all that, a lot of people got upset. They got so upset that the government just caved in and said, "Okay, you you don't have to wear the mask everywhere," which made people who ain't got it, who get a shot, wear them. And that was what happened. Like, I mean, I've noticed that the government doesn't try to use their might anymore. Well, for one, they don't really have. They really like a fallen power. They really losing a lot of power. So they have to put up a big front like they're still the strongest. We got to put up a tough guy act. You got to puff out your chest and all that, and let them know that you got it. Like Kevin Hart said, say it with your chest. But so it's like it looks like they're in control, but they really not. They're actually doing what people want to do. I mean, to a certain extent. I ain't gonna say they're doing everything people want, but it's only like with certain stuff like where they and it's like they gotten better, getting people and it's really more so, when I really think about it, really more so they been they set it up with it where they make it think it's the people's idea to do it, so they can just go ahead and do it. So they can go ahead and do whatever they were planning on doing instead of like trying to, get people used to this idea. And I mean, it's like, hey, that's pretty genius. I can't really be mad at them. That's pretty genius. I ain't gonna front, you know. And I mean, it's like, people wanna follow, but I mean, with even with all this streaming on it, it's like people that like, I don't wanna follow this stream path and I don't wanna do all that. I just wanna try to, work with people, even if we have differences of opinion and we come from different backgrounds or whatever, and we have different viewpoints on different things. I still want to, work with them and come up with better solutions and to get through this problem. And and like a big counter to try to stop that is cancel culture. I mean, I mean, one example, current one recent example is Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle did a comedy did a comedy special. I was gonna say show, but comedy, well, it is show, technically a show, but a comedy special. Hey, buddy, how you doing? He did like a whole special just talking about things that people weren't really talking about. He just seen it from his own point of view. Had his own humor and whatnot, and people were so sensitive. Got upset. Like, I mean, there were people that got upset about it. Like, they. I mean, and I think a lot of them were just ready to be upset with what he was saying. They didn't actually listen to what he actually talked about, and just immediately just said, "Oh yeah, he. I mean, he's a biggie. He hates gay people. He hates trans people, and all this stuff." And I'm like, no. If you really listen to his comedy, there is no homophobia, transphobia, any of that. As a matter of fact, a lot of his stand up, the last special closer was talking about black issues and stand up for black people, no matter their background or where they came from in America. But you know, if you for those who are looking to get triggered by something, that's just look, you're triggered by something, then of course you're not going to be listening for it, because why would you? And it's kind of silly. I mean, but Dave has a good example of with using power to people, and Dave felt like through his Sticks and Stones special and the closer, he proved that, like, well, through with that and the other special he had, proved that if enough people band together and really fight for something, it can happen. Like with Dave Chappelle with in Unforgiven, where he addressed his issues about Comedy Central, owning the rights to his show. He couldn't even use his own likeness, and he doesn't have the rights to his own show. And after that special, people just stopped watching the Chappelle show at Dave Chappelle's request, and they stopped watching so much that Comedy Central literally had to come to the table and talk to Dave Chappelle and say, "All right, you know, we know you got people to stop watch the show. All right, you want the show, you want the rights to the show and all that. All right, we're gonna give it to you. You can have it, licenses and everything, get all the royalties. Here you go. Are we good? Yeah, we good. Nice doing business." And and now Dave Chappelle, if he wanted to restart start up the Chappelle show again, he could if he wanted to. but I don't think a lot. I don't think like the people who are upset Dave Chappelle don't realize what Dave Chappelle's actually doing. He's actually trying to get a conversation going, like actually addressing issues that people are afraid to talk about in fear of cancel culture. And just like the whole, even cancel culture is even though it's an extremist movement, is a toxic example of unity because like people, oh, we're just gonna cancel you and all that, and even though they are canceling, these people, it's like to the point like, why are you canceling them? Like just because you have a difference of opinion, it is like you're trying to just silence people. So it really comes with like pretending to doing the right thing, and you're really just being a fascist. But I'm gonna see if what's come up real quick. I'm, I'm just gonna. Uh, put it in the chat. Let me see. Dang. Okay. Sorry about it. It's like much on there. And I think like at some point like people just gonna have to start, figure out new ways. Otherwise we're just gonna be stuck in the same cycles, you know. And I don't really believe that we don't and I believe we don't have to be stuck in those cycles if we don't have to be. But if people want to keep falling for the same tricks over and over again, how long can we keep doing that? I know a lot of people don't want the responsibility of dealing with these kind of things. I get it. It's easy, not to be burdened with the truth and how the world is. Shoot, bliss is wonderful. I wish I wasn't as aware of stuff as I am now. I'd probably be like super duper happy. Like, yeah, everything is fine. Like it's kind of like that movie Lego movie where they had like that song "Everything Is Awesome," and it was like pretty much people doing the same routines over and over again. Of course, like people do same routines, but doing like literally like the same things and like and not changing changing it up for anything. And just and you say, well, everything is awesome, and I'm just it really wasn't, but the people that believed that everything was awesome. But yeah, it's just like about breaking out of the shell. But all I'm saying is like, yeah, we can really come together. We just really just stop playing around with stop playing around with the idea that we don't that somebody else can do the work when that's you. So so I'm just I mean so I'm just I mean I really hope that that more and more things start changing. Oh yeah, and another example of unity is the whole Great Resignation movement, where like millennials and Gen Z are saying f this to the f it to the jobs, because it's just like the pandemic had an unforeseen result. I don't think how many people who had set the pandemic in motion like thought that this was going to happen, but they had it where like Some people after they just sat and chilled for a while, and I guess they were, getting unemployment checks, and they were just chilling, really thinking about life. Like I, f- I think they think something popped in the head. Like I feel like I'm happier, and I think they started thinking about like like all the stuff they had to deal with at their job, and then the idea came head. I don't really want to go back to the job. F that job. And it just really got people. It really changed the game right now. Like a lot of business, like saying, well, a lot of business need people, but they want to keep doing the same things. I'm like, well, if you want, people to come back and work for you, you really need like, mainly two things. But I'm pretty sure there's other stuff you can put in there too. One is to make sure that they that they're treated with respect, like human beings, not like their numbers. They treat employees well. And then two, you make sure that they have a good work environment and all that, because good work environment makes all the difference. Good work environment, and they have the benefits that they need at the work where they work at. And I'm telling you, if you had like those, well, I guess the talent's three things, but if you had, if you mainly had like good, a good amount of pay, and a great work environment, I'm telling you, you would keep employees. They'd be happy to come to work. But if nobody, if you keep doing the same things you've been doing, yeah, why would anybody come and work for you? I wouldn't. But I mean, that's. Obviously that's not just me. Even with that, like now, like getting a job is easier now. You can go to a job, and they might have had something like where you might go to the job where they'll get you to run around talking about, well, we'll hire you later, or you got to have this and that, and then you go back to that same job, they ain't. They might look at the application a little bit, and then they just go and just do the whole thing with everybody. They do the whole thing where like, oh yeah, you're hired. Yeah, yeah. When can you work? That's how desperate they are. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. But well, I think people are realizing that now. But I don't think people realize like how much true unity, and especially in the positive direction, can really change the world, especially at this time. I think at this time and onwards, that's really going to be the motivating force. Even though it doesn't look like it right now, I think it'll be the game changer. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this. Give a shout out to 12 and Bunny. Hope that y'all have a good one. Hope that's about my rich people, and I'll see you guys later. Have a great day.